Did we come up with a term for when somebody has a, like, capital J job in a movie? Like, I'm a man and I go to my job.
We just call it making sprockets.
Okay, we're making widgets. Making sprockets. Yeah, he has to give this important presentation to the boardroom of important job people, but the ghosts are distracting him. They keep talking to him.
As an adult, this was so much more anxiety-inducing to watch him, he's doing. I mean, the thing they come up with to explain it, fine. But Jesus Christ, this was hard to watch. This movie is so good.
Which movie?
Walk like a man, fast as you can. It's called Heart and Souls. Yeah.
What's this podcast?
Oh, Load-Bearing Beams. Welcome to it.
Welcome to Load-Bearing Beams. I'm Matt
Take
Stokes.
a load off. Sorry.
I'm Matt Stokes. This is my wife, Lacey Roth. Say your name.
Lacey Roth.
That's right. That's
Hold
who
up
you are.
today's newspaper. Alive.
We have our movie podcast where we re-examine movies from our past that we care a lot about. Maybe they're not any good, though.
Hey, not today. Not today.
Not today, she says. What are we covering today?
It's a Robert Downey Jr. joint called Heart and Souls. When did it come out, Matt?
1993.
And it feels it in the best way. It's a real Elizabeth Shue kind of time.
It was the heyday of Shue.
Hay fever of Shue day.
2 years before her Oscar-nominated turn in Leaving Las Vegas. 7 years hence she would be a victim of the Hollow Man.
He took with him souls?
No. Well, I don't remember she's a victim. She's the primary. She's going up against the Kevin Bacon Hollow Man.
Twin Flims? Nope.
Twin Flims. What's the other one?
Twin Films?
What's the twin flim of
I
Hollow
thought you said
Man?
it's Hollow Man and the one she's in also. There's two Hollow Mans? Or they're both the remake. One's a remake of each other. What are you saying?
The movie Hollow Man about an invisible person directed by Paul Verhoeven. She's the female lead of that movie.
I thought Elizabeth Moss was.
Elizabeth Moss, that's the Invisible Man from 2019, much later.
How's that different?
Well, two different movies.
Is one person just real shallow?
Yeah.
It's a real hollow man.
You understand, like, different movies. Like, one is its own movie, the other's like a different movie from like a different time.
And they made it again.
Different title, different premise. The premise is, invisible guy.
Well, are both men very nice?
No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're both very mean.
Hollow Man, I think, is an unofficial Invisible Man adaptation.
Well, then what are you sassing me for?
Sassing you because how old was Elizabeth Moss in 2000?
Old enough to be my best friend, probably. What were you saying about it, though? What are we talking about? Why was Elizabeth Shue a heel?
Why was she? I didn't say she was a heel.
I know, but her name is Shue.
Yeah.
All right, but why did the Hollow Man ruin her?
I didn't say it ruined her.
What are you talking? Rewind.
You said this is the heyday of Elizabeth Shue, and I was naming some things that
you
are
said
in
she
her
was
future.
a victim
In the movie, she's like Jamie Lee Curtis versus Michael Myers.
Okay, I thought you meant that was like what gave her walking papers. Another Shue joke.
No. Oh, you. Okay, you picked a movie for us to talk about. What is it?
I've said it so many times.
Say it again.
Heart and Souls.
Let's make it very clear. We're talking Heart and
then
Souls.
Don't talk over me, my dear heart.
I will never do it again, and I'm sure you also
Heart and Souls
will never talk over me.
Who's the director?
Isn't this a bad movie title?
I think it's pretty clever because there's multiple souls. It is a movie full of heart and full of souls.
But it's a very generic. I don't know.
You say that. But can I point out that I remembered it? I've never had trouble recalling it. It's doing something.
Yeah, and if it were more successful, because this was not a hit, then maybe, people would know what you were talking about when you said Heart and Souls. But I feel like if you say Heart and Souls to people, they're like, which one? Sorry, what? That could be like a number of movies.
And they think I'm dumb for putting an S on it.
That's the other thing. Yeah, I kept typing. It's like, is it Heart and Souls? Heart and Soul? Hearts and Soul? We'll get into all of that. All the S's.
Yeah, there's multiple hearts. Fucking idiot.
This movie was directed by Ron Underwood, to answer your question. And we'll talk about who he is later. And
father of Carrie.
Sure. This was fortuitous timing. We didn't pick this because we knew Robert Downey Jr. was going to win an Oscar.
He won?
We just picked. We have to pick movies, and you named this movie, and I said I don't know what that is, and then we put it on the schedule, and I was like, that's good timing because he won an Oscar, and I did a enormous deep dive into his history. So we'll do a very detailed career overview of the man Downey, even though watching this movie is like, it's not really a Robert Downey Jr. movie. I mean, yeah, he's definitely the big star. He's in most scenes.
But it's before. God damn it, Matt. When can I speak? You just keep saying stuff. Oh.
Go ahead.
It's before he really got like his thing down, whatever it is. I mean, he's still charming. He's still cute, but like, I don't find him like sexy yet. He needs some wrinkles or some dirt.
I would say he's already on the decline at this point.
Oh, right, because he went up and then down and then up again.
Mm-hmm.
Did he go down twice? I bet he would. Sorry.
Well, you know, what's funny about him, I guess we'll just say this now.
Is it funny?
What's funny about Robert Downey Jr. is when you talk about him, it's the story of multiple declines and also multiple things that when you said the name, it only meant one thing to a person. And the first thing it meant was he's the actor who went to jail, or he's the actor who went to prison.
I don't remember that at all.
See, that's
I
great.
already think of Charlie Sheen.
I was reading interviews. I've read a ton of features on him. And there's one from 2007 where he's like, yeah, I know you have to ask. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to ask about prison. It's like, it was the only thing to say, like, not to say about him, but it's like, it's obviously the number one thing in your obituary. And now that's just totally gone.
We need to get his publicist. That person is doing something.
Well, the thing that he did was become Iron Man.
Oh, then we should be Iron Man in case.
All right. Well, I'll just have to tell you all about this because you don't seem to be aware of who he is. What's your history with Heart and Souls? Why did you pick it?
Well, I mean, it had truly been decades since I've seen it. It's not like one that plays in syndication or anything. And I know that to be true because you've never heard of it. It clearly didn't catch on to the hearts and minds of everyone like it did for me, but there was something. It was one of those ones that I rented it, a blind rent, and wouldn't have seen it in the theater, but would have watched it over and over and over again. And there's just something to have 4 adults who love you and leave you twice. But I just like, this movie makes you cry every time. It's so touching.
I was going to ask, this would be a movie you could watch over and over with this child just guttural emoting.
I hear it in my nightmares, and I usually just fast forward.
Okay.
It's just so, it's got actor is good.
It is a movie that you saw many times, though. This isn't like Dogma where you were like, oh, I guess I didn't see this a lot of times.
No, because remember when I watched Dogma and I said I hadn't seen it a lot? And just I'm doing the opposite now.
Just checking.
Oh, you think now I'm just going to like lie because I look like a fool?
I thought I was going to get you.
Did I look like a fool during You're still mad about the Swiss watch thing. And I wouldn't have brought it up again.
I'm never going to get over that.
Except for now you're trying to give me a gotcha. And I'm going to give you a watch.
If you don't know what we're talking about, Lacey criticized me for saying Swiss watch as a metaphor.
Hey, they'll have to listen to
because I don't own a Swiss watch. You can only talk about things you personally know. Here's Lacey's prediction.
Can you stop giving the milk away for free?
For the movie.
Heart and Souls, baby. This is one of those movies where I think, you know what? I'm the only person that's ever seen this. And then there's one other person in the world that has. And I don't know. I guess I would have rented this. I always like Robert Downey Jr.'s early stuff and obviously his later things. But I was a quick fan of his. And I know he's haunted by people who died on a bus when he was born on a bus, I want to say. And then Walk Like a Man, that song's in it. And I want to say he is haunted by them when he's a kid and then becomes haunted by them again later as an adult because he needs to fulfill their wishes. He dances in a bathroom. That I know. This movie is going to delight and Matt's going to be delighted. That is my prediction.
You told me that I was only allowed to do predictions, which I don't even like to do, if I were more fun.
Mm-hmm. You did a good job.
I delivered.
Yeah. And if you don't know what to predict, my favorite thing is when we don't know what the plot is.
And when it's my movie and I forget the plot and I'm guessing. I was pretty close.
Goldeneye. You're like, Gold member? What is this?
Yeah, I'll try to be dumber. Or smarter. I in the middle is what really makes you mad. Got it.
Mm-hmm. Just before I play my prediction,
It
I
better
will
be
say
fun.
that I refer to it as an angel picture because I
Ah!
read the back of the Blu-ray box and I was like, oh, this is one of those angel movies from the 90s. Angels were
There
all
were a
over.
lot of angels.
Now this is more of a ghost movie, but it's kind of interchangeable. This is about ghosts who want to become angels.
They do well, sure, but it's
But
common
maybe
misconception.
maybe we could say that an angel movie has people who are already angels intervening in the lives of mortals, whereas this is the ghosts are trying to ascend to become angels.
You will agree, though, it's so rare that we get a movie full of only nice ghosts. Like that, there's no element where the afterlife becomes scary. That would have been a big reason why I could watch this over and over.
Okay.
Death would have been freaking me right out around this time, and you just get to go. "Yay."
Well, early in the movie when Alfred Woodard suggests maybe this is hell, I did agree with her.
Oh yeah, I wrote it down a few times. See, it was different to see it as an adult.
So I would say that is very scary, but I see what you mean. Yeah, it's not like Casper's mean uncle ghosts come in at one point. Like even Tom Sizemore's character.
That's exactly what I was
Like,
thinking.
oh, he's a lovable piece of shit though.
Right.
And crucially, he stole the book of stamps from the child, but he wanted to give them back. So
Oh,
he's a
him.
good
I thought you were
guy.
talking about the bus driver. The bus driver's a little salty, but even he's a sweetie.
Mm-hmm.
He killed all those people.
Here is my prediction. I will pour my heart and my soul into this prediction of saying that I don't know what to expect in Heart and Souls, other than it being from the director of Tremors, which is a lot of fun, and City Slickers, which is okay. And, I don't love early Robert Downey Jr., though this is 1993. He's starting to come into his own. I believe this is a movie that would fall into the genre of let's call it angel pictures. There were a lot of angel pictures in the 90s. We loved being touched by an angel. And John Travolta in Michael. He's an angel, not a saint. And then there was Danny Boyle's horrendous A Life Less Ordinary. A movie so bad that it made me think, maybe I don't like Ewan McGregor. That's besides the point. What will I think of Heart and Souls? I think it will be a messy, kind of charming, just kind of okay, but likable because of this stacked cast, as Lacey likes to say, a stacked cast. Also, Charles Grodin, one of the best ever.
Who's Charles Grodin?
He's the
singing guy?
yeah.
Yeah.
I would say
Beethoven.
that's
He's
kind of
Beethoven.
yes, he's Beethoven. That's kind of exactly what I think. It's kind of shitty, but I like it, and mainly because I like the actors. And
Angels in the Outfield. Field of Dreams.
yeah, well, that's ghosts.
But they're nice.
History of Heart and Souls. We'll start with the man who helmed the film, and that was Ron Underwood. This guy made his directorial debut with the TV movie adaptation of
It?
The Mouse and the Motorcycle. Did you watch this movie in elementary school?
Never heard of it. I don't think so.
It was based on a novel by Beverly Cleary in which a little mouse rides a little motorcycle, and he made a TV movie adaptation that was very charming.
All right.
Anyway, he went on to direct Tremors. You ever seen Tremors?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Aren't they stuck in a convenience store?
Kinda. Yeah, kinda.
It's like a desert.
It's not the it's desert. They don't
shit
own,
under the ground.
Yep, they're not only in the convenience store, but there's just a little town with like 4 buildings. The convenience store is one of them.
The
And
floor is lava.
it is the
Classic.
floor is lava. Yes. This was a modest hit, but it spawned an endless straight-to-video series, and it's a pretty fun movie. And
Cult classic.
that's right. 1991, just his fucking enormous hit, City Slickers.
I
The-
liked that movie
The
a
fifth
lot.
biggest movie of the year was, and I noticed 1991. We have a ton of episodes from 1991. Right after City Slickers is Hook, The Addams Family, Father of the Bride, Fried Green Tomatoes, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2.
Someone gave me cable.
This movie made $170 million worldwide. It won an Oscar, and it is a pretty okay movie.
Well, probably one of those ones where I wouldn't like it as much if I go back to it, but I was a big Crystal head.
I watched it a few years ago, and I thought,
Billy.
kind of similarly to this movie, it's like this music is really over the top, telling you feel emotions.
Right. Something's magical and scary a little bit, but
Yeah.
also lovely.
I think I was a little more moved by City Slickers because at the end he's rescuing a little calf from a river during a storm, and I felt for the little calf. But yeah, I don't know. After that, he made a movie called Speechless with Michael Keaton and Gina Davis. Did you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't remember it, but I know I've seen it.
But after City Slickers is when he makes Heart and Souls, and from then on he only makes flops. Heart and Souls is a flop. Speechless is a flop. Mighty Joe Young, a giant financial flop. And
They had to pay that animal.
Adventures of Pluto Nash in 2002 with Eddie Murphy is a legendary flop, and
Is that Eddie on his way down?
regarded as one of the worst movies ever
Look at
made.
the fucking poster. It doesn't even look like it. One person made it. It looks like 3 people. Oh, the font.
He's the man on the moon.
Okay.
So, but since then he's directed TV. All right, let's talk about Robert Downey Jr. And as I said, the thing that's interesting about him is the
What's in his hand, Matt?
it's a lollipop, a sucker. I had to
I was like, why would he have a crack pipe on a red carpet?
I had to black it out because I didn't want to look at it.
He put a little sensor box, and I'm like, yeah, he really was on a downward spiral with that paraphernalia.
Yeah.
What did he go to jail for? A car
For
wreck?
drug possession, and then his long prison sentence was because he violated paroles from earlier drug convictions, but heroin, cocaine, and weapons possessions. Many arcs to Robert Downey Jr., and I've read interviews and articles about him from different times. And the first sort of phase, the thing I don't really associate him with is a sort of Gen X icon. Two people writing magazine profiles in the 90s. It was like, he's one of us. He gets us. He's our avatar on screen. But he's not like his Brat Pack brothers and sisters. He's
cool.
serious and cool and a badass. And he might kill a man.
Oh, I don't know if that's cool.
So, but you have that phase, and then you have
and he's kind of a yuppie, right? He's a little more city boy.
as
he
opposed
seems like
to
a man he seems Wall Street more. He seems more of a young guy becoming a man than a high schooler. Yeah, I don't think I'd like him in a high school role.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Brad Pack kind of seemed infinitely stuck there, college at most. This guy seems first couple years of his career.
But because
how
of
I
that,
think of
he
him.
has a little bit of menace. He has that 80s Michael Douglas edge to him.
It works for me.
Then he has like the prison thing and the endless struggles with drugs and substance abuse. And then he gets out of that. And then it's like, we love Robert Downey Jr. We hope the world happens for him. And then then he gets Iron Man. And then recently the whole narrative has been like, poor Robert Downey. He hasn't been able to make real movies in forever.
Oh.
He's stuck in shitty Marvel land. And even he's, making jokes about how he's not in real movies anymore. We just want him to get back to making real movies. Do a good acting performance again, Robert Downey, please. You did? Okay, Oscar, here you go. For a great performance in Oppenheimer.
I know what it is not.
Yeah, like the narrative now is he finally shed Tony Stark. It is just funny that
The thing that
people
took him out of the trenches is the thing we all tried to get him out of.
exactly, yes. But that somebody so successfully shed the first line of their obituary about them. Like, how often does that happen?
Well, if I could give you another example, it wouldn't have really shed it because I would still have remembered it. I'm not a historian like you, so I can't keep popular facts in my head and unpopular. What is this?
Okay, so
That's his dad. I don't like it.
So Robert Downey Jr.'s Lacey's reacting to a photo of Robert Downey Sr.
Are you going to play a movie of him as a kid?
And Robert Downey Sr. was an important avant-garde filmmaker of the 60s and 70s, a counterculture icon. His notable movies include Chafed Elbows, Putney Swope. I will confess I've never seen a Downey Sr. movie. But in every interview Robert Downey Jr. does, every profile of him, they bring up that his first movie appearance ever was in his dad's movie called Pound, a movie where human beings play dogs in a pound. And he is a little 5-year-old, speaks on camera playing a puppy. And his first line is, "Do you have any hair on your balls?" Let's take a look.
And so's my hair. That tornado scared me so much it made my hair disappear.
Have any hair on your balls?
It
See,
looks
this is
just like him.
Yeah, it does. See, this is from a Jay Leno appearance. I have the same video on like Conan, on Jimmy Fallon.
And that looks like recent him, the way he looks here.
I mean, this would have to be 2014 or earlier since it's Jay Leno. But yeah.
Oh, right. Well, he got him out of retirement to interview him.
Okay, there's this great 2000 from the year 2000 profile and interview of Robert Downey Jr. from prison, from Vanity Fair by Steve Garbarino. And here's what he says about his parents. They were, quote, artistic and revered East Coast squares who happened to like marijuana. Even the countercultural guys couldn't relate to them. When Dad got into coke, he didn't really know how dangerous it was. He was very naive. He just thought it helped him edit. To me, we were an artistic family trying to find normalcy. Marijuana, he says, was a staple, like rice. He laughs at the notion, end quote. That's from the article. And then his sister said, quote, to put our growing up into the context of right now, it would be the equivalent of having Quentin Tarantino as your father. My family were all great characters. I don't know, though, that they were great family members. We're all good characters. We all definitely occupy that spot.
We watched that actor on actor thing with Garofalo. Help me.
Mark Ruffalo.
Gina Garofalo, Mark. And he referenced his dad a couple times, like, you know, being a friend of Robert's. He's talking neither bad nor good about his dad here. And you know, the sister's a little more hinting at some things being troubling, but it sounds like maybe his dad was hard to please, or maybe the shadow was just hard to get out from under. I couldn't really tell from the interview.
And I think that what they're saying, like, this is not a normal environment to grow up in. It gave me a skewed idea of what life was like. And yeah, this is not somebody who necessarily should have been a father. This is from a 2000 article. And now like they like reconciled and did therapy and stuff. And
He's still alive?
He just died a few years ago, but Robert Downey Jr. made a documentary about his father called Senior for Netflix, where they, you know, put their relationship on full display. But the other anecdote that's always told about Robert Downey Jr. is that his dad gave him a joint when he was 6 years old. Here is the quote from Robert Downey Sr. Quote, we were all sitting around smoking grass and playing poker down in the old West Village loft, and Robert was staring at me kind of funny. Robert was always an observer of it, even at a very young age. And I go, you know, because Robert Downey Jr. was drinking, took a sip of somebody's wine, and his dad looked at him and he said, quote, you know, you ought to try a little of this instead of drinking. I passed him a joint, and suddenly I knew I had made a terrible, terrible mistake, giving a little kid a toke of grass just to be funny. And then he said, this story keeps getting repeated. By now you'd think Robert was Jimmy Cliff's dealer at age 8. I'll never forgive myself, but Robert and I have to deal with it. And he said to me, I'm not a victim, Dad. I don't blame anybody, end quote. But you get the sense right there that he's like, no, I mean, he told me it's fine. He told me it's fine that I gave him drugs when he was 6 years old and made it normal for him.
Yeah, by him finishing the quote with that, yeah. But I did like him saying, Robert and I have to deal with it. He doesn't seem like he's upset exactly at Robert for having shared that, but it does seem like he used to be upset.
But he's giving this quote as his son is serving a 3-year prison sentence for drugs.
Oh, okay, that I did not realize.
Okay, so...
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
What did you forget?
That he dated Sarah Jessica Parker.
So, Robert Downey Jr.
Nerd he looks like. Such a nerd here.
Made his first screen appearance in Firstborn alongside Sarah Jessica Parker. They started dating. They were together for the next 7 years.
Wow.
In 2016, Sarah Jessica Parker told Howard Stern, quote, they actually had a very conservative relationship considering the fact that she was normal. Oh, sorry, this is Downey. Very conservative relationship considering the fact that she was normal and I was out of my mind. And then she, that same year, said to People, quote, and what's the difference between loving and taking care of people and what's she learned from their relationship, quote, what the difference is between loving and taking care of people, what's necessary and what grown-ups should and shouldn't do for one another. And it taught me a little bit about being a parent too, because the things that I ended up caring about and the way I cared for Downey were things that might be more suitable for a parent.
Yeah. That's a respectful way of saying something I think we can all relate to if we've been through that. It's a respectful way of explaining that he was hard to be in a relationship with, but still compelled to take care of the person struggling.
But at the point in which you find yourself a caregiver more than anything
Yeah, I'm
else.
saying it's a respectful way of saying I'm in an abusive relationship. Sorry. Okay. Yes, I thought I made that clear. Sorry.
So
I'm sorry. I've never seen a turf tougher than this prissy bitch, James Spader, staring me down. What the fuck?
The poster for the movie Tough Turf. 1985.
Looks pretty tough. That broad's got heels, but also chains.
He is also in the movie Weird Science.
Is he?
and he becomes friends with Anthony Michael Hall.
That's one of those Brad Pack movies, if they include weird science in that, I don't know, that I just did not like that much. I'm sure it's all about like getting laid or something, and that's why I didn't like it.
I've never seen it. I'm going to try to see all the Brad Pack movies before I die.
Okay.
Saw Pretty in Pink last year.
Yeah, you keep bringing it up.
Well, I want, yeah. And then that's where he became friends with Anthony Michael Hall. And then they both got onto SNL, to Saturday Night Live, for one season.
Oh, what? As like
as cast members.
What?
Yeah.
It wasn't my graduating class, so I deleted this.
I'm not an SNL guy, but I think people regard this as the worst season ever, and a lot of the cast only stayed for one season. But there's an anecdote about Chevy Chase was there as a host during that season, and he said to Robert Downey Jr., he said, "Didn't your dad used to be a successful director? He's dead now, isn't he?"
Not yet.
Molly Ringwald wanted Robert Downey to play Ducky in Pretty in Pink. Instead, they went and starred in The Pickup Artist in 1987.
That was the right move, but it's much more on brand. And I can't picture anyone but James Cryer being Ducky, but like Downey had a bit of a nerd quality, but you need to also be someone who can't pass as conventionally handsome in the way that like help me. The other guys are in the movie.
Andrew
the guy
McCarthy.
We just saw, and then tell me the other guy.
And James Spader.
Yeah. Who are, I mean, you can't hide their good looks. I don't want you to slap glasses on Downey and be like, oh,
but if you
I'm
have
an idiot.
him, we did an episode on The Pickup Artist in 2018,
which I really like.
Go back to that episode, but where we said this guy's a sexual predator.
Right.
But if he were playing Ducky, you would
also be a sexual predator.
You would be like, oh, Ducky's a sexual predator.
An incel.
When John Cryer plays him, you're like, oh, he's harmless.
I'm okay, but looking back now, I do understand like the toxicity of a nice guy, of a friend zone guy.
Yeah.
But a piner is a piner.
87, the big breakout movie for him is Less Than Zero, and it's a big notable movie in many ways. It's his big serious adult breakthrough, and it gets him a lot of critical attention. And in the movie, he's playing a drug addict who's spiraling. Mm-hmm. And he has this great quote from 2003 about it. Quote, "Until that movie, I took my drugs after work and on the weekends. Maybe I'd turn up hungover on the set, but no more than the stuntman. That changed on Less Than Zero. I was playing this junkie F-slur guy, and for me, the role was like the ghost of Christmas Future. The character was an exaggeration of myself. Then things changed, and in some ways, I became an exaggeration of the character that lasted far longer than it needed to last."
Here's a good example of how he always seemed to be young adult rather than teenager, and a big part of that is because he picked The Pickup Artist instead of Pretty in Pink, because
he didn't pick it.
Well, I'm saying that's what happened, because then you skip right from like right out of high school to this character who's clearly a couple years into his adulthood. That's interesting though. Like, how do you even control that? And how do you know as a director if you're getting a great performance or if you're enabling? Because you don't know.
It's the question we must ask.
Well, I've just asked it.
I like that you asked it.
Makes me want to watch it.
I watched it in 2000. I think I watched it after Iron Man came out, and I was like, oh, I think I like Robert Downey Jr. What else has he been in?
Can't imagine a world where you don't. I guess
Zodiac and that coming out back to back. I was like, oh, I love this guy. And then I went back and I watched Less Than Zero. I watched Wonder Boys. I watched Natural Born Killers.
I forgot he was in that.
But this is the movie that makes him like the Gen X icon, sort of separates him from the Brat Pack, and he is positioned now. You are the next great actor.
That's wild because Andrew McCarthy's in it.
I got this. Janet Maslin in the New York Times wrote this review, and I just wanted to quote it from 1987. Quote, "In addition, Mr. Downey gives a performance that is desperately moving with the kind of emotion that comes as a real surprise in his surroundings. Mr. McCarthy is also good in the early scenes that have him detachedly watching his friend's deterioration, though in later, more urgent moments, he shows some strain." James,
try and keep up.
James Spader as a drug dealer is the embodiment of pure corruption.
Is Spader in it
End
too?
quote, yeah.
Boy, howdy. And who directed it? Please don't say John Hughes.
No, not John Hughes.
Oh.
I don't remember the director's name.
Well, it's whoever graduates the Brat Pack into adulthood. So, because is there like a handler? Is this some sort of pipeline?
There should be. There should have been.
And who's this actress?
Huh?
Exactly. Sure, she
like
didn't.
Molly Ringwald?
No.
The woman from Less Than Zero.
The fucking only other woman on the damn screen.
Lacey, you say that so I can say something while I type on the computer less than 0
Well,
actors.
then we need some sort of like a sign. If you could just do that noise, I'll know. I don't care. If it's not a notable person, I just wanted to know.
It might be.
It's not anyone I recognize, so it's not a Brad Packian.
Jamie Gertz.
See? What a bad name. Change that, then get back to me, Gertie.
From The Lost Boys? From Quicksilver?
Oh, yeah, I didn't...
From Twister?
What? Ah, I gotta go, Julia. We got cows. Okay, you're back on, Jamie. Fine.
She's a part owner of the Atlanta Hawks?
Well, there you go,
The
Jamie. You've got that behind you in case anything... now I completely see it. Look at her. That lady's got cows. Look at her. She's got go. I can't talk about this right now.
I don't know Twister like you know Twister.
We're gonna have to watch it again. It's a rip-roaring fun time.
I was trying to think of who's a good comparison of today. Of like, okay, you're not necessarily like in big commercial blockbusters, but we've pegged you. You're the serious actor for tomorrow.
You're saying a Robert Downey in this moment in his career come-upper?
Yeah, I mean...
Would you say then maybe it's Chalamet?
I was kind of thinking Chalamet, but I hate Chalamet. So.
Well, then maybe Franco, because now people know that he can do serious.
You know what?
And he isn't really proven it because you got to do it twice.
James Franco?
Am I saying that right? Yeah. Isn't that who's in, am I crazy? Is that not who's in the fucking Iron Claw movie?
You're thinking of Zac Efron?
Yes! Sorry, Franco and Efron have been in movies together and they look the same.
That's a good one.
Yeah, Zac Efron.
That's a good one. Yeah, because from like a teeny bopper star is in Neighbors, which is a big hit, and
he's a druggie.
And people are like trying to like movie fans are like, we know you've got your dramatic chops, do it, please do it. His big commercial swings don't seem to work, but Iron Claw was like and
he'd be a good villain.
Revelation. He's
got like an intense, and he's a villain a little bit in Neighbors, I know that, but like he can do comedy and I like his face.
He's great in the Iron Claw. You can't watch
I
Iron
will
Claw.
not watch it.
No, I had a hard for how devastating it is. It's just death.
I know, and I keep listening to reviews, and I have to turn those off too.
Yeah.
But I do want to try All of Us Are Strangers, but I think I'll be fucked up.
I've been avoiding that one too for how.
Okay, so even if you even are, then I can't. I just can't. I hate that there's things I can't see.
But just some praise for the Iron Claw for the actors, Jeremy Allen White.
Wait, were they nominated for anything?
No, they should have been.
What? Was it a late movie? Is that what I heard?
It's just
because it's wrestling.
It's wrestling, yeah. It's not.
Wait. The Wrestler was not nominated when it came out.
It was, but that
because
was
it's Oldman.
That wasn't Gary Oldman.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Who was it? Oh,
that was Mickey Rourke.
That's what I said.
Anyway, they're doing their own actual wrestling, full camera in the ring.
Their body
it's so impressive.
The transformation to their body alone. I feel like people who get muscles I feel like that's not as like praised in the serious acting world as like losing weight or gaining weight in a different way. But something about bulking up, it's like, yeah, John Cena. Mm-hmm. It's like that shit's fucking hard. Those people are tortured. They're basically acting with half of their brain. You need fat to use your freaking neurons.
Mm-hmm. Lacey just did a little symbol at the camera. I don't know what it means.
What I'm doing. I feel like I was dropping knowledge.
Okay, so you got the big critical breakout in Less Than Zero.
Soap dish.
So now it's time for you to graduate into serious adult movies, bigger budgets, and movie stars. Now you're going to be a star. Yes, Lacey.
I know what could help us because I keep struggling to not say or react to what's on the screen before, but make it interesting because no one can see it. What if we do that thing that we accidentally do on our TV? Where picture of chances are where the voice tells you what's on the screen.
Audio assistants or screen reader.
Pisses off our son when he accidentally hits it. Sad boy holds book. And then
You want me to do screen reader for...
I don't actually want it.
So he is in Chances Are with Sybil Shepherd, Air America with Mel Gibson, Soap Dish with Whoopi Goldberg, Sally Field, and Kevin Kline.
Look
now,
at that stack cast.
You might notice something about these movies. You might find yourself asking, what the fuck are these movies? And the thing about Robert Downey Jr. is until 2008 in Iron Man, everything he was in was a flop.
Soap Dish was good.
Okay, but
yeah.
You're in the movie with Mel Gibson?
Right.
That guy can't miss, but he does.
You missed.
Yeah.
Is it Downey's fault?
Is it?
Did he touch him?
Sometimes these people, you just pick the wrong. It's just
Yeah.
you pick the wrong one. But 1992,
To win an Oscar is the title of this.
he throws himself wholeheartedly into playing Charlie
Wow.
Chaplin in Richard Attenborough's movie Chaplin. And he studies Charlie Chaplin obsessively. He says, like, I'm the world's leading expert on Charlie Chaplin right now. He impeccably imitates his mannerisms. He can be Charlie Chaplin on screen and do what Charlie Chaplin did. Yes.
That is something I noted in this. It's like he is really gifted kinetic, like physically. He can, and like Gene Wilder, he can flawlessly fall to the ground and pop back up. He's made of rubber. There's something so smooth about him, and I don't feel like people, when you think of Robert Downey, you think of the physicality.
No.
But
But he
I
can
need
do
to
it.
watch this.
Well,
No, okay.
okay. I wanted you to, let's snip this out and post it on TikTok because I
All right.
want to hear from people about this, assuming that TikTok isn't outlawed by the time this is out.
I got word from the Discord I'm on that don't worry, because even if it gets voted that there's a bunch of that they get 30 days to sell it, and that there's a bunch of people who want to buy it.
There's 6 months,
6 months.
but I've heard that
Even better news.
there's no one who could buy it. That's the point. Is
Yes,
that anyone who
they
could buy it will
could.
get sued for antitrust because you'd have to be a big company that already has a big tech platform. So even if they did buy it, if like Facebook bought it, then
But
it would
it
just get
is.
integrated into Facebook.
No. It's one that we haven't heard of, but or that was not familiar to me. But it is a big tech company. It's like they tried to do something, but it just didn't take off, and so they have the infrastructure.
I don't
It's
know.
fun.
The thing to because Lacey's concerned about TikTok going away,
I really like it.
and I like that it brings listeners to our podcast, and I like the people that we've met on TikTok a lot.
I do too.
The thing to reassure yourself is big business doesn't want this, and that's
Right.
all you need to know.
You're right. They will lobby and fixie.
Like, when will that be? I mean, that'll be unprecedented. I get, like, yeah, it's a Chinese company that gets outlawed, but like American companies don't want that to happen. That's a dangerous precedent. So, okay, here was the question I wanted to pose. I've been aware of the movie Chaplin, since I was a teenager. And it's like, oh, that's the movie that Robert Downey Jr. got his Oscar nomination for. And even though I like Charlie Chaplin and I like movies about Hollywood, that movie's reputation is that it's bad and boring and like kind of, it's just a Hollywood biopic Oscar bait. And it's also very long. And so my whole life I've been like, well, that's a movie I'll never see.
Oh.
And what I want to know from people is, if I say, what's a movie you think you will never see, what comes to mind? Like, whether it's because of the subject matter, whether it's because you're like, that just sounds so boring to me.
Okay, but can it also be like what you and I just discussed, where like I just know my mentality? So like The Iron Claw and All of Us Are Strangers just seem like movies I should not see. So that's just a movie I'll never see. But I feel like sad about that. I don't know that you don't feel, I guess it doesn't matter, but you don't feel sad about not getting to see Chaplin.
Right. It's like, I want to see so many movies. I'm going to spend 2.5 hours watching that when I know like exactly what it is.
Right.
But I did. And it was exactly what it is. Like, yeah, he's good. This movie kind of sucks and is boring and does everything you think. And even the things that are like kind of interesting are not good enough to overcome.
Bad
But
director?
I would just like
Bad pacing?
it's Richard Attenborough, who I would say is a not that good. Is like makes long Oscar movies. The movies I think I'll never see are like I'm gonna see The English Patient one day. I've never seen it, but it's like I don't want to see that.
Are you going to see like the Amy Winehouse movie? For you said you were sick of big biopics, so I was wondering how you felt about the Bob Marley one and the Amy Winehouse one coming out, because I feel like we should see those. I don't. I do want to see the Amy Winehouse one. I know you're
Amy
sick of it.
Winehouse sounds interesting. The Bob Marley one people don't seem to like that much, but Bob Marley, at least like I don't know Bob Marley's story very well.
Yeah,
so
it seems. I mean, the political part of it seems very interesting.
but I know there's a very acclaimed Bob Marley documentary that seems like it'd be better.
And I don't know what it is. There are certain people where I almost feel like it's not right to play them. And he's one of them. That no one is like Bob Marley.
Oh, to portray him on screen.
Yeah. He was so unique.
And then so many of these musical biopics, like the Michael Jackson one that's going to come out, are authorized by the estate and are like, you just feel icky about it.
Yeah, no thank you. Oh.
So weigh in, everybody. What's a movie you
Jackson 5 or Michael Jackson?
think? It is a Michael Jackson.
It doesn't matter. But
Michael Jackson's the main character of a movie about his life. He thought he was going to win an Oscar. Like he was certain he was going to win an Oscar.
How old would he have been here?
27.
Oh, that's pretty young to win an Oscar.
It is very, at the time, the Oscars didn't really give out awards to young up and coming stars. They do it now. Like Jennifer Lawrence won very early.
Right.
Emma Stone won very early. Brie Larson, Rami Malek for fucking Bohemian Rhapsody. But back then it was like an old person's club, and Al Pacino won it for Scent of a Woman. That was his lifetime Oscar for Scent of a Woman. I think a movie that nobody likes.
It's hard when you come up against someone who's just like, you need to throw him one just in case.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, by the way, Lacey, what are your Oscar thoughts? The Oscars happened this week.
I don't have thoughts.
Okay. You liked Poor Things.
I loved Poor Things. But when I saw her performance, I didn't go Oscar. Like I think that, but that might be why it's so good. It looks so effortless what she's doing. But it must have been
She's good at being
hard.
a baby. Babies are like that. They're mean.
But the progression, the balance of keeping it a slow progression and still sexy somehow. Not the baby, but what? Yeah, good on her. Okay. I still haven't seen Flowers.
Killers of the
Flower Moon. I still haven't seen that. I really want to. So I'm sure Lily Gladstone's amazing too.
That was my favorite acting performance in a long time. It was
her? Really?
Because it is it's like a super tragic thing that happens to this woman, and she does not play it like she plays it with dignity, but also she's very funny.
Can I watch this?
Yeah.
Oh, she's funny. Okay, I'm okay.
Put funny in
a normal, like when you go through devastating tragedy, there's gallows humor for a reason. Mm-hmm. It's like defense.
But it's also a Martin Scorsese movie, so it's like fun as hell, even though the things that are happening are devastating.
Got it.
So those are our Oscar takes. Okay. Robert Downey Jr. has always wanted to win an Oscar.
Has he?
He's always like, it's going to happen for me at some point. And it finally has. Okay. After Chaplin, and he doesn't win the Oscar, he tries a bunch of stuff like Heart and Souls. They expect he's going to be in Natural Born Killers. And that movie had a ton of hype and was like, this is going to be the big defining movie of the year. I think it comes out either the same weekend as Pulp Fiction or very close together, and Pulp Fiction steals its wallet.
Oh, no.
And then in 1996, he starts getting in legal trouble, is arrested for possessing cocaine, heroin, and weapons. His actor friends like Sean Penn try to stage an intervention for him, and it doesn't work. He has a lot of interventions. He gets jailed multiple times, convicted, forced into treatment, get parole, violate parole. The famous thing that happened to him was he was wandering around his neighborhood, and then he went into his neighbor's unoccupied home and fell asleep in their child's room, and that's where he was arrested. 1999, he's sentenced to 3 years in prison for violating this parole. He says this to the judge at the sentencing hearing, quote, "It's like I've got a shotgun in my mouth with my finger on the trigger, and I like the taste of the gun metal." Okay, he is granted early release after a year in prison, and within a week, he's cast on Ally McBeal, the buzzy new hit on Fox. And it's the 4th season of Ally McBeal. He is Ally McBeal's love interest, and he gets an Emmy nomination. He wins a Golden Globe, but he gets arrested again and gets written out of the show. And he has a hard time getting work because he's uninsurable.
Yeah. There's no understudy.
Like actors get insurance as part of the production budget of, if something happens to you and the movie production gets disrupted, we have to pay for that.
Yep.
And he becomes so prohibitively expensive. He's like Louisiana right now.
That's what I was thinking.
Okay, 2003. The very important movie for him, he's in Gothica opposite Halle Berry. And that's where he meets Susan Levin, who is one of the producers of the movie. That's where they meet. And this is a movie that he has to put up his whole salary to cover insurance. He doesn't get paid until production is complete.
Plaintiff lawyer.
Yeah, it's a contingency fee. But
he's on consignment.
The same year, his good friend Mel Gibson produces a movie called The Singing Detective and pays for the insurance for Downey to be in it. And on Gothica, he meets Susan Levin. They start dating, and he is clean during production. But after production wraps, he relapses. And I think Susan said this is the only time she ever saw him when he was using. And she just said, matter-of-factly, if you want to be with me, you can never do this again. And for some reason, this is the time it clicked for him. He threw all his drugs away in a Burger King trash can, and he has been clean ever since.
Wow.
You know, in his Oscar speech, what did he say? He said, like, she found me a snarling rescue pet. Susan, you found me a snarling rescue pet and you loved me back to life. That's why I'm here. And then they got married in 2005 and she became his producing partner. And They're very sweet together. They make
Yeah.
movies together like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, a great movie. But again, like nothing he's doing is making financial. It's not making money, but he's getting lots of praise. He's in Good Night and Good Luck.
But like, how you're saying it's not getting money, but like, do the actors get paid?
Yeah, he gets paid. But I mean, like,
The movies.
it's like you're supposed to be a movie star. How come when you open
Right.
a movie, nobody wants to see it? So you're not really a movie star, are ya? He's in Zodiac. I saw Zodiac at the time. I loved Zodiac. I was like, this is the guy. And then when I heard he was going to be playing Iron Man, I thought that rules. That's exciting. We'll just talk about Iron Man because it's just such a good like conclusion sort of to his story. In the early 2000s when superhero movies were, having their first big peak with Spider-Man and X-Men and everything. Marvel Comics was mad because they weren't making their own movies. They were just licensing their characters to other studios. So they start their own studio. The first movie they're going to make is Iron Man because that's one of the only characters that they don't have licensed out to another studio. And they're like,
That's funny.
nobody knows who Iron Man is. So we kind of have a blank check here.
Well, like they can just do what they want. But he's just like a Batman in red.
Well, but it's like people don't have built-in baggage about the character.
God, he seems like he always existed.
They hire Jon Favreau to be the director, and he says Robert Downey Jr. is the perfect person to play Tony Stark because of the similarities to the character. Tony Stark is broken and pushes people away and has demons and struggles and stuff. But the studio wasn't convinced, so they made him do a screen test, and this is like this legendary screen test where he blows everybody away. They see him and they're like, oh, okay, obviously this is the guy. He gets a very low salary for the movie because they still see him as a risk, but it comes out it's an unprecedented success and starts the apocalypse of cinema, destroys cinema in the process. But that same year, 2008, Robert Downey Jr. got an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor for a comedy blackface performance in Tropic Thunder. And then the next year, he starts his second franchise, Sherlock Holmes. 15 years later, he wins an Oscar for Oppenheimer. That's the history of Heart and Souls.
It's not, though. It's the history of Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
But he's the heart and soul of this movie.
Yeah, and he's good.
But there are other really great actors in this movie, too.
There are.
Or maybe
other-
they just all have a special place in my
I
heart
think,
because of this movie.
Charles Grodin's great. Alfred Woodard's great. I think the other two are kind of not characters.
Julia?
blonde.
She's in a
Yeah.
bunch of stuff.
Yeah, Kira Sedgwick.
Yeah,
You know her from Singles, probably.
sure.
You like Singles?
I've seen it.
You
I
like
own it.
Singles.
I like it.
That's the history. You're looking forward to talking about the movie?
I wish it were today, so I don't
It
have to do my
is.
hair tomorrow.
It is. What are you talking about?
You-
Here we go.
Walk like a man.
Let's open our discussion with a question from an expert. Lacey, you're
Yeah.
a graphic designer by trade.
Hello.
You do marketing. What you're very good at is sort of
Tone.
this.
Beauty.
Let me just say what it is. And what images signal to people and
Yeah.
what things signal to people.
Absolutely.
Okay, we're looking at the poster for Heart and Souls. We have Robert Downey Jr. in the foreground. He's the only man. And then in the sky, we have the four angels.
Yes.
Okay. What does this communicate to you?
It communicates to me that these four past loved ones of this man's life are beckoning him home to heaven.
Oh, okay.
What does it communicate to you?
But just in terms of what they're selling a movie to you as, they're selling you exactly what this
feels
what-
a little Christian. What? Why don't you tell me what you want me to say, and then I'll say it.
Okay. I'd say this is what the movie is. Yeah. You got your live human being and then you got your dead people in the sky and he's going to be helping them and they're going to be helping him. However, once the movie starts and we get the opening credits, it's Robert Downey Jr., Charles Grodin, Heart and Souls. And that kind of credit billing makes you think this is a two-hander. This is about two guys, Robert Downey Jr. and Charles Grodin.
But you put a lot of weight into credits in terms of what you're going to see on the screen versus how good are these people's agents.
And I know that that's what it actually comes down to, but they do signal to you something when, especially when you just have the two actors. If you look at the poster, you see all the names above at the top of the poster.
You're allowing it to signal that to you.
But then in the movie, And so I was like, oh, okay. If Charles Grodin is like the co-lead of this movie, I'm sitting up straighter. I love that. I'd love to see these two guys just hanging out together. And as the movie's going, I'm like, okay, maybe the other angels will get
Dead.
called back to heaven, and it'll just be Charles Grodin and Robert Downey Jr. for most of the movie.
Do you think a lot of people struggle with this specific issue that you have? Because it is completely unburdening to people who don't give that much thought to what's in the credits.
I mean, define a lot, because I'm sure it does
I'm saying
some
it's
people.
weird. You're completely anticipating the entire movie based on the name order.
I know there are people out there who think about this stuff like I do.
Yeah, but why do it? Why not just watch the movie like this? You say you don't like spoilers. You say you don't need to see or know a lot about a movie before watching it. Then why
Credits are part of a
anticipate-
movie. Credits are part of a movie.
Oh my god, yeah, but the art of them is yes, and then the name order in credits are contractual. It's not art.
That
It's
is,
not art.
It can be used as part of art, but it knows that we know what these things
Stop.
mean.
No, in graphic design, every little piece of content that has to make it onto the page is a piece of the puzzle. It's not about that piece. You just have to find it at home in the proper order of its hierarchy. Sure. So when you see it first, that signals to you that that's the most important person. Fine. But it's not part of the art. It's just where that thing had to go.
We're going to get into this fucking argument again. Is
No.
this part of the art?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that you're saying credits are part of the movie. Yes, but the credits are supposed to be artful. They're not supposed to be like, oh, I can predict this will happen. Because
What
like,
does
who
art
wants
mean?
that?
Because
Who wants-
everything that happens on screen signals to you something and triggers some sort of anticipation in you.
And I'm saying you shouldn't watch credits because I think it maybe messes up your anticipation of things or spoils that someone's going to come back from the dead or come back into the movie in an important way the way it did in GoldenEye.
I'd like to hear from an actual movie director about this. What
What do they have to do with anything?
I'd like to hear what they have to say about this. About what do they feel like the contractual obligation of putting a prominent actor high in the credits might signal to the audience that this character is like, well, I thought that guy was dead, or well, that guy didn't seem important, but oh, he must be the murderer. I'd like to hear from a filmmaker about that. Bait and switch is all I'm saying. Now,
No, it's
the
not.
movie keeps going, and Lacey said out loud, "This score is a little too good for this movie. Too spooky."
Right. It seemed to really be playing on the fact that there's ghosts when I only think of them as souls. There's something a little bit more wholesome about how I perceive the dead people in this movie. Like I mentioned before, this might be the only time I can think of dead people in a movie that are the major part of the movie, but they're not scary and nothing scary happens. So yeah, the eerie music of like, these people are dead, or like maybe it's more like, hey, tragedy is about to strike all these people, and this boy is going to be troubled for the rest of his fucking life because this is how God lets people finish their business.
The god of this movie is fucked
He's
up.
hooked up and unorganized.
Yeah, but I bet God really is. But you know, it's got the Beetlejuice thing of like,
It does.
It wants
Dun,
to.
dun, dun, dun.
It's gonna make you have to confront something devastating, which is like a mom is never gonna get to see her young children again.
Yeah.
because she's dead. But the movie's like, nope, don't worry about that. We're having
Oh, I
fun
think we
here.
were. That's what the music was doing. It was making me feel three things at once, and it seemed like, okay, you know what this movie is, but I guess because people are dead and it's got to be impactful, we have to do sad stuff, but we don't want you to feel sad too long. It's a little jolting.
Mm-hmm.
What's your point?
This movie, in terms of tone, is messy and would be better if it just
It's beautiful.
picked a lane.
No, it's beautiful.
And it's just trying to service so many different people and storylines, and
Me.
much of the way it resolves many of the storylines is like, well, I don't know. It turns out that this is all she needed to resolve her storyline and go to heaven, but we'll get into that. So we open in old San Francisco. This is the old times, and it looks like a commercial that would play during the commercial breaks of Mad Men to make people on their DVRs like stop. Oh, the show's back. Oh no, this is a commercial for soap. You fuckers. So the first people we meet are a pregnant couple, but we don't know who these people are. They're not notable actors, so fuck them. But we'll go and we're going to meet the four people who become our future ghosts. And I want Lacey to take us through each of them and tell us what their deal is. First up,
Harrison. For some reason, when he cries that name, it hurts the most. But anyway, so we've got a talented singing man who is horribly crippled by his fear of probably rejection, but mostly seems stage fright because he was singing beautifully in the lobby. You see him. He's auditioning for some sort of orchestra. I don't know if it's some sort of philharmonic, some sort of San Fran harmonic.
I'm here for the Philharmonic. This is Charles Grodin.
Oh, right.
A few years after Midnight Run. I should have noted where he is in his career.
I wish
probably,
you'd do your job. Yeah.
Yeah.
He had auditioned the year before, and he again did not pull off his. He can't bring himself to sing in his beautiful voice and truly audition for this thing he wants very badly. Next.
I don't think he did audition last time.
Yes,
I think he
got
sick.
But he was still on the paperwork. He probably got sick on the way to this.
So he, in the past, went up onto the stage and sang for people?
No, he went on the stage, got sick, turned around. Duh. Okay, now we've got Penny. And this is a hardworking mom who's got the night shift on a switchboard. She's busy. She's got 3 boys. We don't see a dad in the picture, but she's delightful and wonderful and clearly doesn't have a ton of money. She puts all of her kids in one bed and the neighbor next door keeps an eye on them. And her kids are like, why can't you stay? And she sings a beautiful song she made up.
Hug-a-bug.
I know.
I know you know. Not everybody listening might know.
It's coming up later, Matt. Anyway.
Penny is played by Alfre Woodard. They live next door to a cat woman who has lots of cats, and she refers to the young boy child as her lover boy. Put that in your back pocket. You're going to need to know it later.
Will you? Yeah, it's just sweet. She's a caring mom, loves her children. She's got to go to work now. Then we've got Julia, who works at a bar. She's living her dream of living in the city. Her very needy boyfriend, who's been, maybe not needy, I don't know. He's been waiting 5 months to find out if she'll marry him. They live in a small town that's like 2 hours away from here. And she wasn't ready to settle down. She does care about him, but he very awkwardly yells at her across the bar she works at to be like, I need to know now. And she's not ready. So she's like, no, I'm still not ready to get married. I'm still living this city life. Then goes back into the Purple Onion, the bar, for 5 seconds and says, wait a minute, I changed my mind. So Julia goes chasing after him, but has to get on a bus because she doesn't see him.
Everything that you see between her and her ex-boyfriend makes it seem predatory and like she's not that into him. And that she's like trying to run away from him. All of this seems a little like, he's like, I did it, baby. I bought us a piece of property. And she's like, that's good for you. I'm going to go back to work now. I'm going to go watch Bob Newhart do a set.
Okay.
And this is Bob Newhart's son playing Bob Newhart.
Oh, that's fun.
Because he's doing one of his one-sided phone call routines. And it makes it seem like this is like a guy who's stalking her she can't get away from, but then it instantly turns into, no, he's the love of my life. I love him. You
can tell she cares about him. She just she's annoyed because like she said she's going to go do her thing in the city for a while and he's going to wait, and he didn't wait. I mean, 5 months is a long time, but he got sassy and left. He's just being a little controlling, but for that time, also very evolved.
All right.
I mean, a man waiting 5 months for a woman who went to the city for 5 months to do God knows what. Then he marries her.
Life question for you, Lacey. Serious answer. If somebody actually in a romantic relationship says, we need to take a break or I need you to wait and I'm going to go do something.
They're not that into you.
Do you think that ever works out?
No.
Okay. Yeah, me neither. But I'm sure someone will say, no, it does.
All right. Now we meet Milo, but you know he's
Tom Sizemore.
Also known as Milo in this movie. And he's tough. He's this guy of the group. He keeps it jazzy. I don't know. But you know right away that he's not a bad guy. He just has stolen. He does things that aren't great, but he's got a good heart. He is trying to get back some stamps that he stole from a kid because it was important to them. He couldn't get them back. He seems really upset that he couldn't get them back to the kid. And then he goes and gets a bus. They all go and get the same bus, you see.
Tom Sizemore, who is a great actor and just died last year, is like a dinner theater performer in this movie. He's like, hey, I'm just a fucking palooka thief. I got my stamps. I'm going to give them back to you.
Tell me a great performance from like a movie where he gets
Saving Private Ryan.
Where he gets to really be.
Strange Days, Blue Steel.
I've seen Saving Private Ryan, but it's been a long time.
So we've met our 4 people who are going to die. And they get onto a bus driven by David Paymer as Hal, the bus driver. He's very funny. And it's like this trolley bus. This is San Francisco, and they're going on a San Francisco hill on this trolley bus, and it's only these 4 on the bus. And the bus driver, well, the 4 passengers and the driver. And the couple, the pregnant couple we met earlier, are now rushing to the hospital because she's going into labor, as only happens in movies. The baby's coming now. But this bus driver looks over to the side of the bus, and he sees a sexy couple fingering each other in the car. And he's like, hello. And
they cannot get that dress up. He struggles for a long time trying to.
He really does.
He's just moving around, and she's just moving around.
Yeah,
I couldn't really.
This is PG-13. They like rewind a couple times.
Pre-fingering, yeah. It's a squirrely lady in there, squirreling around.
Yeah, it's like when you turn the bathtub on, you turn the hot water on, let it run for a while, let it heat up. Exactly. But the way this movie is cutting to the pregnant couple rushing to the hospital, and so you're like, wait, that's who he's looking at? Is the pregnant couple?
What?
Just in cinematic language, it's cutting from David Paymer looking down like, oh yeah, I'm horny, to the couple in the car.
But you can see he's looking at the thing that's making him horny.
You have also seen the thing that's looking horny, but it cuts more frequently to the pregnant couple.
No, what it signals in cinematic language is that he's going to hit that car and kill that mom.
It does that too.
That's all it's doing.
It does both. It's a big horny death mixture. He sees them. Oh God! He swerves out of the way, and then the bus just spins off of a hill, lands. It's like pretty straightforward and upsetting. In how like, yep, that's how it takes. Your bus got to turn too sharp, and now everyone's dead. But are they dead? They climb off the top of the bus, and they're like, I don't have a scratch on me. And then David Paymer comes out of the bus and he ascends to heaven. So they're like, wait a minute, are we dead? And then they get sucked into the car where the pregnant couple is delivering the baby.
Has delivered.
Like, look, we've successfully delivered the baby. It's a boy. And then, like you said, yeah, it does kind of look like they get
sucked into his brain. I was like, is this in and out? Or not in and out? Yeah, in and out. For the anger, disgust.
Inside out.
Inside out. That's in and out is with Kevin Kline.
Yeah.
Yeah. Inside out.
And then, okay, so I was like, I didn't know what this movie was, but I'm thinking like, okay, so this is trying to be like a, maybe not a Frank Capra movie, but just, this could be a 1940s movie. Jimmy Stewart's in it. It's kind of romantic, kind of funny, kind of serious, and just kind of magical. So that's,
okay.
We'll see if they're able to do that. The spirits are like, are we in heaven? And Milo's like, we can't be. It's a 58 Rambler. But then we
Milo
cut forward. And now the kid's like a year old or something. And we see these 4 people have accepted their fate. They just have to hang around this baby forever. And it's nice because you're like, okay, so we don't have to see them like dealing presumably for 6 months with the devastation and depression of being dead and not being able to see the people they love.
Right.
Now they're just happy. They're like, oh, and yes.
They've fallen in love with this little baby that they can't get more than like 20 feet away, it seems. About 20.
Yeah, if
25.
If the baby moves away and they don't move with him, they will just get sucked along with him.
Right. Which it does beg. It's interesting the parts that they are implying they did not see, or that they do. There's some sort of compartmentalizing happening, because if you're seeing every minute of someone's fucking life, like, I guess they're doing their own thing. So if he's a little kid gotta go shit, they just go talk in the hall. They seem like to be very respectful of his privacy.
I think that they deliberately show you later in the movie when the kid goes to the bathroom at school, they're in the bathroom, but he's in the stall by himself. So they're showing these ghosts are respectful. They're going to wait outside for him. They're not going to go with him in there and look at his butthole.
Okay.
Or like give him tips.
Those are the options. All right. Yeah. But I guess I'm thinking more like when he's an adult, like, what are we doing now?
I too was wondering about
discovered. I'm glad they skipped teenage years. I'm just saying, disgusting.
Is this a case in this world? Does everybody who dies, who has to stay on Earth until they fulfill their business, do they get to like imprint on one human? Or is this just such a coincidence that never before have people died nearby a baby being birthed?
I wonder that myself. Like, does everyone who's talking to themselves, or I of course brought up my big bag of autism and sprinkled it onto this. Oh, our baby's laughing at the wall again. Oh, our baby's talking to himself again. Well, no, that is what children with autism do. They are rehearsing. They are having a script. They're going through their day. It looks like they're talking to themselves, but no, they're just looking at something and speaking out loud. So it's like, so is everybody that people think are, and they kind of allude to it later in the movie, like this lady is another lady like in a mental ward area. I was just like, oh, hi. Like, so it does make you think that certainly isn't the first time it's happened. But is it all mental illness? Is this what's happening?
Yeah, that is
I don't
that's
know.
scary to think. Yeah, in this world, everyone with a mental illness is actually just seeing dead people. Maybe M. Night Shyamalan saw this movie and he's like, they're focusing on the wrong things. This premise has got legs.
Okay.
But they say
yeah.
the best, I think my single favorite part of the movie is Charles Grodin saying, "You're a cookie baby.
Yeah,
You're a cookie
No, you're
baby."
a cookie boy. Who's a cookie boy? He's a cookie boy.
And Milo's like, "Hey, this sucks. I wish I was banging abroad right now." And Charles Grodin's like, "It could be worse. At least we're with a good cookie boy like Thomas." And he just says it so completely seriously.
He does. And the dad is annoyed with his adorable fucking giggling baby who's having the time of his life looking at 4 things that he can't see.
He never laughs at me.
Right. Do something funny.
Pay
Animal.
attention to me. As I read my magazine.
Right. But the mom is way more patient, just thinks he's special, thinks he's adorable, because it is adorable. Anyway, you can already see the impatience for the weirdness in their kid. But you know what is interesting? They later, when the bus driver reappears, he makes it sound like they were supposed to be picked up years ago. Like they were. So how are they going to use this human as a baby to do, like, at what age was he the vessel?
Yeah, at 9 he was supposed to help them, but you could see it. You could see a Miramax movie from the 90s with a special little boy helping some ghosts.
Yeah,
In fact, I think that was M. Night Shyamalan's movie,
Right.
Wide Awake.
Right. It's just, and all the lack of instruction, but then the eye rolling of the bus driver as if they should know what the hell they were supposed to be doing. Who? Oh, an angel. An angel was supposed to come down and explain all this. They never explained what happened to that explainer angel. I hope he's fired.
With a movie like this,
You kind of just got to go.
and you're walking that fine line of you're trying not to. You want to have the like, don't worry about it, kind of.
Yeah.
But that does kind of take a skilled storyteller and director to pull off to make your audience not ask those questions.
Or
And be
else
like,
you have Dogma, where you have all this
Yep.
not exhibition, help me.
exposition.
Exposition. Yeah. Where it's just like, oh, see, here's how this is, because they'd all have questions. I like how there's multiple times in the movie, or maybe 2 key times, they just go to the next phase of life rather than making you, they'll show us. They don't have to tell us. I think this movie does that pretty well.
Yeah. The other way you can deal with like the rules of this afterlife is like Beetlejuice. Like you make it a comedy. You make the people telling you all the rules like, the 500-page document
Right.
you got from Juno. God.
Well, because they've been there forever. This shit's boring. But I've always been so just a big old gooey puddle over how fucking sweet they are to this little boy.
Yeah.
Just like, what kid, especially a kid that was lonely a lot like me, wouldn't want 4 doting parents constantly singing and telling you what the best boy you are for practicing your homework?
Yeah, helping you in school. Can always tell you the answers to things. Because we jump ahead now. He's 7 years old, and this is Eric Lloyd from the Santa Clauses.
God, is he good.
Little Thomas. There's a funny scene in class where he gives a speech to the class about the Battle of Gettysburg. Because, like, Charles Grodin Harrison is like, okay, now say this, now say this. He's like, Pickett's charge. The fetid smell of the dead hung in the air. And then they all go into the bathroom together, and they do a big doo-wop number. What is this song that keeps recurring through the movie?
Baby, oh, I don't mean maybe, Yeah, Walk Like a Man. It was a very popular song back in, the decade where they died.
Yeah. Walk Like a Man.
Walk like a man, fast as you can. You walk like a man. Why are you letting me keep going? I don't know.
It's charming.
It is. Oh, me?
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Lacey knows oldies.
All of them.
That is your sweet spot of music.
That and the 70s and 80s and 90s. Radio. Basically radio.
But then they go on other little adventures together. They go to bet on the ponies. They listen to opera and read Playboy.
But you're seeing the day in the life and the struggles and how did the ghosts kind of get their own alone time? They go sit on the roof. They're not always all together. They very much enjoy each other. Like there's a little bit of bickering, but I mean, it's wholesome as fuck. They are and the two ladies are best fucking friends.
Yeah, because they're on the roof, and this is Kara Sedgwick and Alfred Woodard, and she's like, do you ever wonder where your kids are? But like, wouldn't this whole group's first order of business be, let's go find the kids, Thomas, make friends with my kids so that
like,
I
how
can be
can
around
we
them?
scoot his walker this way? Yeah. Right. Like, I mean, you're in the city you fucking died in. You took the same bus. You probably live really close to each other. Yeah. It's got to be just so weird and jolting, and you're all just, and you can't get away from him. And he's a baby for so long that you forget you could do anything else, maybe. Like,
but at the point where they're going to the horse track.
True, you went to the fucking horse track. I didn't even think of that. Like, fucking go see your kids. I mean, maybe it'd be too hard. I don't know.
Yeah, but
honestly,
I think you just need a line in the movie like, I've always said we can go find them. No, it's too painful. I need to hug them or whatever.
Yeah. All right. Okay, well, it turns out going to the track was just a bridge too far, because the way that Thomas would get the man to actually sell him the bet would be, my dad's going to give me an awful beating, and just, but I'm glad at this day and time that they had these kinds of protections in place. I thought corporal punishment was still very accepted during this time, but that with the combination of his teacher finding him very odd, she sees him in the bathroom dancing to his end of the song. And he's just a precocious kid. He's a lot in school. Again, brings me back to the autism, the ADHD, the gifted kid stuff. The whole concept that gifted is just a different form of special ed, and it is, but it's not actually what anyone thinks it is. It's just where you put smart kids who are a problem. And I never thought about that, but then I look, it's absolutely that. Anyway, that kid is being gifted.
Yeah, we have a gifted kid who is a lot.
That kid is being gifted. Just they need a lot of ways to express themselves. Anyway, this kid's awesome. But he's gone to the track too many times, and he's already been under the dad's skin with he's different, and that his dad didn't want a different kid, wanted a normal kid.
Yeah, wanted a football kid.
Right. So I think once this doctor comes, he's like, yeah, we should kill him. I mean, put him in an institution.
But what a well-oiled machine the Child Welfare Services is, that they found the name of this kid and were able to track him down and everything. Like, how did they do that?
Movie magic. Trick photography.
Yeah.
Anyway, but this, do we have to talk about the very saddest scene? So just right after this, in my head, I was thinking medicine made them go away. Like, kind of like in Drop Dead Fred. I guess I have a lot of movies like these. So I thought he made them go away, and then maybe he stops taking medicine later and then they come back. That I couldn't remember. It really had been 20, 30 years since I've seen this movie. But it's even so much more touching than that. Like, for the good of him, they all four love him so much that they don't want him to be weird. They don't want him to get in trouble. They don't want to tear the family apart. They decide to go invisible.
The dad is literally like, it's not a mental institution. It's a facility.
Right.
Like, they're literally going to send the kid away.
Right.
For dancing in
Chucky
the bathroom.
style. Yeah.
And they tell him, sorry, we have to go. And little Eric Lloyd is just wailing and screaming, just don't go.
Please. It hurts my heart. I would skip over this part as a kid.
It really does a good job of capturing that feeling when you're a kid. You don't understand what's going on. The adults are telling you, all right, something's going to change. You're like, but I don't want it to change. No. And you can't do anything but just scream. And
it perfectly sets up the kind of adult he ends up being, because if he hadn't had a loving mom and dad, this instead would be, we cut smash to someone with a heroin addiction problem or something. But this kid's still fine. This kid still has a mom and a dad who really care about him. He's going to be walled off and afraid that people are going to leave him and not be good at forming close relationships. But like, he was still able to be steered to college and then to a career. But he is very flat.
Well, they've made him, I think,
hard.
we cross dissolve. Now he grows up and he's Robert Downey Jr. He's cocaine Robert Downey Jr. with sunglasses on, and he's driving a cool car. So I think it is trying to say like, oh, he's become like a Gordon Gekko piece of shit. I think that is kind of a subtle thing they're trying to. He's kind of become an asshole. Like, not only is he pushing people away and not letting people get close to him, but his job is like, I go and I raid corporations and I fuck them over.
And only someone that it feels impossible to get close to somebody for risk of being left could do that.
Yeah,
you put up what I don't understand.
It's given him this kind of drive into becoming. Like
Right,
you
right,
say
because
he's
still
fine.
no, he's fine in the sense that he didn't end up in a gutter. Like, that kind of abandonment can really fuck you up for the rest of your life, and you can turn to drugs or alcohol. That didn't happen to him. Instead, he turned to career.
I
and
assume
ambition.
he's doing lots of cocaine though.
Fine, but they don't show that in the movie. And I'm saying it's because he still had a stable family. Like, it still ended up being maybe what was best for him. Because honestly, can you really picture the kind of human he would have been if he never formed any friendships, could never fuck a girl? Like, I mean, them being with him this whole time also wouldn't have been the right way.
It already fucked him up.
The intense abandonment this kid felt, I think they made the perfect leap to what kind of adult this ends up being.
Which it's not the ghost's fault. It's God's fault for leaving them there.
Goats?
It's not the ghost's fault.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's God's fault.
They're all being fucking tortured.
It is a little convenient that they're like, hey, we'll just go invisible. Like, you can do that. And they just do it. They cut ahead. Now he's an adult. He's wearing sunglasses, but the ghosts are still around. He just doesn't see them anymore. They're just riding around with him all
I love
the
that
time.
they're so bored of riding in cars that they mostly just ride on top of the car. I
Yeah.
love that part because, like, yeah, if you can't die, if I fall down and you're just going to drag me with you and I'll be fine, I'm sitting on the top of the car.
They're kind of like, so they're following him around. They're kind of like doing commentary. It's like sort of the Truman Show. They're like, and I really like the old girl. What do you think he's doing here? But it's a little too like, I don't think that these people talk to each other like they're with each other all the time. Like, I think there needs to be a little more shorthand and a lot less talking.
A lot less talking, a lot less enjoying each other, a lot more jaded. I mean, yeah, the true reality of what this would turn someone into is a little too dark to think about. Also, do they think they're going to die when he dies? Why not just get him killed? Why not just push him in front of a bus and be released?
Well, they can't interact with the physical world.
They could try.
Yeah.
They could talk to him. Go in front of the bus.
I was wondering about the physics of that. They can talk to him, but they can't touch physical objects. How, like, at the molecular level, at the atomic level.
How are you sitting on everything?
Yeah.
I know.
So he goes to this aircraft facility and he confronts Kurtwood Smith, aka the greatest actor of all time, and he tells him, like, I'm a banker and I'm here to do banking money stuff, and give me the time to liquidate. And so, yeah, he's a Gordon Gekko. He sucks. And he's also always on his car phone. And the ghosts are like, he's always on that phone.
If they just stuck around for another 10, 15 years.
Yeah, they
The
sound
things
like
they would
parents
have
today.
seen.
Yeah.
No, I just mean that exact man. Always on his phone, probably.
Mm-hmm. And the ghosts can't touch each other, right?
Yeah, they touch each other.
Can they fuck?
They haven't. I think that would have made things very complicated.
It's been so, like, they
Dude, I don't know.
maybe we've skipped over the part where they're like all various forms of fucking each other.
Now Elizabeth Shue enters, and this is his girlfriend. She's not like the other girlfriends. They think this is the one for him, but he, anytime progress should be made in this relationship, like all of his others, he is cute and shifty and just doesn't want to make that next progression. But her parents are coming in town, and she's being very cool, very pick me, very like, I'm not like the other girls. But she's strong, and she makes it clear, no, I do want you to see my parents, or somewhere. This relationship needs to go somewhere soon.
You need to, it's the most generic, like, you need to make a commitment to me, sort of. Like, do you like this subplot?
I mean, I didn't even think of this subplot. I just thought of, like, he has to be living a life during all of this, and the effects of him being left behind by those four people have to show themselves. And unless he's going to have a relationship with his parents, then this is the way to do it. You have to watch him be cagey and blocked off and rejecting people he really cares about. And also Julia has to have a purpose at the end. So
I just wish Elizabeth Shue, and I wish there was more to her other than like, I want you to take me seriously. I want a key to your apartment. I want you to meet my parents. There are rules to relationships and you're not following them, mister.
she's just a stand-in for people who are well-adjusted, who intend to be with people for a long-term period of time, take certain steps. He's still acting like he did in the beginning. He seems to care about her. He seems to be... There's parts of his body and mind that are acting right. And I think she's correctly pinpointing that there are things in him broken and that he needs to look at himself. I think it works. If it had nothing to do with what the trauma of them leaving him would have done to him, then no, it wouldn't work. Like he just needs to, he's just trying to get that new job and he's just got to win this big case. That would be boring and stupid. Because like, I already know he can achieve. I don't need to see his life getting interrupted in like this. I had a big break. This is the right thing to showcase, to give him his arc. He needs an arc.
I understand. My criticism is not very good, but I know what you're saying. You need something. You need some sort of area for him to grow. Just wish it were better. But
Fine, but you're not saying how it would be better.
that she needs to be a real character.
She can't interject much more than she did. She's already in the way. They're on a time crunch, baby. All right. During this scene, are you going to show the next slide and it's going to be the bus, or do I need to talk about the bus here?
The bus does
There's
come
not
into
a slide with the bus.
It's on this.
Okay, it's on this. It's in this dating scene date scene that we realize this whole time. Number one, they weren't still supposed to be connected to him. They were supposed to have passed on. Number two, they should have been talked to by an angel who would have explained that they need to find a way to use him to fulfill their last thing that they needed to do on Earth, and then they can each pass on. And now it's been so late that he's just now locating them, and it's souls need to be born, and if they're not gone, then new souls can't. That all is very sloppy.
Yeah, there's like a finite amount of
Right.
matter and souls.
But I do, and I like it from the very beginning, that electric sound that the bus makes naturally. It's just like in Dogma where like the hockey kids have that fly buzzing sound. So it's like anytime that menacing presence is coming, that
Here it comes.
that click. Anyway, I like that.
Because the bus appears.
It just appears out of nowhere.
corporeally, yeah.
Right.
And in this arboretum where they're having a date, Robert Downey and Elizabeth Shue can't see it, but the other ghosts who don't seem that nonplussed that this is happening, and now someone else, they now have a fifth person to talk to. They're just like, hey, what are you doing here? I know you. You're the bus driver.
Okay. Well, anyway, now they're in a pizzy and a tannic. Because now they're on a short time span. They don't really know what that means. He says, I'll come back soon. What the fuck does that mean? It's eternity, buddy. But they know now they need to make him see him. They need to make him see them again. And they explain that disappearing was easy, but getting back is harder. I don't know why.
Because they have this is an unfinished business ghost fetch quest.
Right.
I tried to find, where does the idea of ghost and unfinished business come from? That feels like a relatively like last 50 years of ghost stories sort of thing. And I couldn't find, like, one, Google sucks, so it's hard to Google this. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't think it's like a part of folklore or
it has to be like
religions or
just
anything.
a storytelling device, right? Just the idea of like, well, I don't know. If you want to tell a nice ghost story, you need there to be a reason that ghost is around and not like a tragic, morbid one. So you didn't figure out like
I couldn't
when's
find
the earliest
the answer
use
to
of
that.
this?
No, I mean, just it's like this happens in movies like The Ring, The Sixth Sense.
But like in movies like The Ring, it fulfilling it or like if you don't do it in time or like it doesn't end up changing the future.
It can be good or bad. Well, in The Ring, it's like you help her spread her story and that keeps her from killing you. That's her unfinished business, is the world must know what was done to me.
Like, why are you so fucking special, bitch? I have a TV too.
So
All
yeah,
right.
the ghosts, now we need Thomas. He's going to help us literally achieve our goals. So we got to make contact with him again, but they don't know how to do it. So that
They're just screaming at him and it causes, they they decide, oh, that we need to sing our song, ooh, oh, and they notice, okay, wait, he's singing the melody. Okay, this is it. This is the part we need. Then all of a sudden, Milo can just feel that he's about to see him, and he goes, hello, and the guy and Thomas wrecks his car, and so bad that he's in a hospital gown the next time we see him, and in a hospital bed, and now he can see all of them,
and he's freaking out.
He thinks he might have gone. He might,
I love Charles Grodin. He's like, how are you? If this happened to you,
yeah,
what would it take to convince you that these are really ghosts and not hallucinations?
Exactly what happened here. But I mean, probably not much, honestly. He was already, what's the word I'm looking for? He was already preconditioned to accepting this and these specific people too.
Yeah, but he also said, like, I thought those were hallucinations. So it's like,
yeah,
I've done work with a therapist.
Right. But that was false. That wasn't true. So realizing that you had stuffed this down and didn't want this to be real, I think it'd be easy to believe it. If this had been the first time, that would take some more doing. I do not know. I think I'd instantly believe there was a ghost.
But you don't believe in ghosts, right?
I don't. But if one just walked up to me and you couldn't fucking see it, you're right. I don't know. I guess I'd think I was crazy, not ghost.
I mean, it's like the original philosophical question: how do you know what's real? If it's like, I know that ghosts aren't real. I know hallucinations are a thing that can happen to the mind. So that seems far more likely. But I love second season of The Leftovers when Kevin is being haunted by the ghost of Pat by Ann Dowd, and he's just like, I got to keep this quiet. I can't let anybody see this. I feel like that's how I would react.
Well, yeah, because his dad had a history of the exact same thing, so he knew his fate. He knew from personal experience he'd be locked up.
The most important thing about me being haunted is I can't let anybody know about this.
Well, yeah, but you've been trained to keep down your issues.
So, yeah, he like runs around the hospital, but he sees this other loony bin patient who's like, oh, hello.
He runs to the psych ward because he's going to go get himself checked out.
Yeah. And
anyway, instantly this other lady's like, oh, I wish I could get visitors.
So he's like, you can see them? She's like, yeah, I can see them. And I can also see the nose ring men. He's like, what? I'm just kidding. I thought like, oh, this is cool. This will be a good little thing for the movie to have, but it goes away right away. It's just like, a plot contrivance to like, you need to believe this right now. Yeah.
Yeah. It could have helped us expand the world and explain, okay, this would have just been very funny. Now you're moving on to the scene where he's in the boardroom and giving, in his very important job, and they just basically torture him into helping them fulfill their thing because he's being very resistant because he's living a life. As an adult, this was so much more anxiety inducing to watch him, the shit he's doing. I mean, the thing they come up with to explain it, fine. But Jesus Christ, this was hard to watch.
Because he has to... Did we come up with a term for when somebody has a, like, capital J job in a movie? Like, I'm a man and I go to my job.
We just call it making sprockets.
Okay, we're making widgets. Making sprockets.
Yeah.
He's making... Although he's like, I make financial sprockets.
Right.
I'm going to show you all my papers about the business papers and the money. And... yeah, he has to give this important presentation to the boardroom of important job people. But the ghosts are distracting him. They keep talking to him.
Well, because they can't seem to talk him into just do. Now they have something to do for the first time in 30 years, and they realize they're on a time crunch, and they're excited, and he won't fucking listen.
Why would I help you? He asks them.
Because that's interesting. Because he is mad at them. He's hurt by them. They changed his entire life. He thought he was one thing for a long time. And yeah, I'd be fucking mad too.
Yeah, this is my father who hasn't talked to me in 2 decades comes back and needs my help. I'm supposed to just help you now?
Right.
Son of a bitch.
No, that is the right reaction. So they torture him into fucking doing it.
Like, I am so bad at paying attention to 2 things at once. If I go anywhere with my son and people talk to me, I'm like, my head's in the clouds. I'm like, oh, kid. Yeah, if someone were talking to me, a ghost were talking to me as I have to present, I'd just like...
yeah, no. I'd instantly have run out of there. As soon as the first body... So they can get into his body.
They can possess him.
They find out this. And I think this is pretty nice physical comedy from Robert Downey Jr. He's gifted in this way. He's very funny.
First, is it Julia who possesses him first. And he's just like,
Yeah.
there's 99% men in this room and only one woman. He's just talking like a woman and being a little effeminate.
Yes. Right.
And
Which
then-
was hilarious then.
And then he gets possessed by
Well, and
Milo.
he kisses the old man on the head. Ew.
He gets possessed by Milo and he sees the one woman. He's like, hey, you're looking good.
I'm gonna fuck yous. Right.
And then he gets, I don't know who he gets possessed, but Downey starts doing like serious physical comedy, like just like fighting with himself and
Well, he's
thrashing on the table and stuff.
He's getting them out of him. Right.
And I thought like, this is like, and this is only 10 minutes of the movie or so, but like this is Jim Carrey's like 90s comedy movie run. It all starts here, I think. Like, isn't this the premise of Me, Myself, and Irene?
I hate that movie. I don't know.
Okay. But yeah, Robert Downey's very good in this scene. Very impressive physical comedy and just ability to change the voices and the mannerisms.
And snap in and snap out of it. Yes.
Without cuts. Like, it's not
Right.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I never think of stuff like that. But I just feel the fluidity of it and I'm impressed and you realize why it's good.
And like, this could have been the whole movie, but they're trying to make it a more
Serious thing.
emotional movie.
It is emotional.
So, okay. I'll help you guys. Fine. First, we're going to go solve Milo's problems. Milo's problem is that he robbed some stamps from a boy and then gave them to a crook. And then he tried to rob the crook back so that he could return the stamps.
A rich man, not just a crook.
So let's go to the rich man's house and steal the stamps back. It's been 30 years, but I'm sure he still has them.
And they're right in the same place.
Uh-huh.
He gets caught.
There's a funny like Robert Downey's like, we can't break in here. It's grand larceny. And Tom Sizemore's like, it's not grand larceny. It's breaking and entering. That's 90 days to 2 years max. But, you know, there's some antics inside the house.
He gets caught. He figures out how to get away.
Bob's your uncle. They steal the stamps. They get away.
Right.
Yep.
And that I do find that payoff maybe the best. It's the second best payoff of the four is when he delivers those stamps to that kid who clearly is a nice guy and doesn't have very much money. Those stamps are worth $100,000. I like that moment. He answers the door with his kid. He looks down and he clearly it's been on his mind because he goes, Barbara, the stamp. You know, he's told his wife this story. And to that kid, it was just important as to Milo that he didn't get them back. They were his grandpa's stamps.
I'm glad you liked it.
And then they do the dance.
And you really needed to give me a trigger warning about this, Lacey. That they have a musical fucking number in the middle of the movie.
It's quick.
It is. It gets blessedly
Spider-Man does
interrupted by
more.
the ghost
Yeah.
bus. But yeah, they all in
Ooh,
unison do this doo-wop number. And
Maybe. Ooh. And for the first time, Milo is the lead singer, and he's good. It's adorable. They're all just like, fuck, right. The team got the team back together again, and now even, Thomas is buying in. Look at his goofy ass dancing with us. It's just a nice celebratory moment. Like, I need to do the thing. The thing felt good. Yay. But it is touching because Milo's probably the hardest one out of the four, or the one that puts up the biggest, like, hey, I'm tough. I keep doing that fucking voice. And he even...
you're part Italian. It's fine.
Okay, great. And the bus driver, though, pulls up and Milo's, Milo was the one that was fighting it whenever they were going to disappear on him. And you think, okay, well, I'll bet in Milo's life that is his baggage. That might be what turned him into a petty thief or whatever. He also was left by his dad or whoever. And so he did not want to go invisible on Thomas. And so he has a hard time separating from him here and even asks, what if we all just do it together and you come get us all at
because
once?
the bus now returns and is like,
I
okay,
said
I'm
that.
here to collect one.
Right,
of
I
you.
need one soul. And the guy's like, no, I waited as long as I can get on the bus. And it's just it's sweet. Every departure is touching.
But that's the way the movie's going to work for the rest of the time is the mission, accomplish the mission,
Bus
comes,
comes.
collects one of them.
So
And
the movie spends a lot of time being, there's funny moments and then heart and there's heart, there's soul, there's heart, there's soul, there's funny, it's such a mixture. I exactly know why I liked this movie. Okay, now we're at the part where Harrison is going to fulfill his need, which is just simply, I need to sing in public. It's like just stand there and sing.
yeah, in the corner, it's San Francisco.
Right.
There's a lot of people.
Right. But
Hello, my baby.
they are. This is a little too pat for me, but needless to say, during all of the shenanigans, Thomas misses the dinner date with Elizabeth Shue's parents, and it's a whole thing. It's not that big of a deal though, because she's cool. She invites him to a concert. He can't make it because he's doing this. What does he do? He shows up at that concert. It's BB King for some fucking reason.
Because they're stuck in traffic. And they're like, wait a minute. Charles Grodin, look, it's a concert. BB King, just get up there on stage. Okay, no problem.
And the way that they sneak into the back is funny because what's her name? Penny. Penny inhabits him, and he's very funny being her. It's a little bit inappropriate, I will say. There's a black scent. But she's empowering. She gets them back there. She slaps the man on the ass. I love that part. It's cringe, but all right. And now this is the anxiety-inducing part of it all is the entire time they spend on this huge packed concert stage. He brilliantly goes out there, because he can't get Harrison to go do it. Like, you motherfucker, we're here for this. You better inhabit my body. And so he doesn't want to get kicked off the stage immediately. He just says something he thinks no one's going to push back on, which is now rise for the national anthem or whatever. And everyone stands up.
I like that.
I liked it too.
So
it's like, who's going to push back on that?
Okay, yeah.
And even if you are sneaking in to do this,
it's a national anthem at a concert. Okay. Well,
That's
yes,
funny.
exactly. Yes.
Like, no, it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. You're going to be like, yeah, to play ball. But, oh my God, he's standing there for so long. And then and then he gets in him, gets out of him. I hate it. The singing's pretty good. I guess that's Robert Downey's real voice. It seemed right.
He's a musician. He released like a jazz album, like all those fucking guys do.
Okay.
Who would release an album?
Right. Right on. But of course, it's the concert that the girlfriend's at. That hardly seems to matter, really.
He's on stage. The crowd is suddenly so won over by Thomas with the ghost of Harrison singing the national anthem in this deep baritone. Such a hit is this performance that mid-performance BB King then comes on stage and starts accompanying him on guitar. And you're like, this is badass, man.
I think BB King just knows this is not the scheduled programming, but he admires this fool for something and comes out and kind of like, because think about it, BB King could have made a scene and have cops come handle that, and then people are talking about that instead of BB King for the rest of the concert. But instead, he just plays him off.
And he was a great businessman, great mind for business.
I mean, and he and Robert Downey Jr. again, because the fucking bus shows up on the stage, which no one can see. All they can see is this man still standing to the left of the stage, not moving right of the stage. And it's all I'm doing is screaming at the screen, "Get off the stage! Get off the fucking stage!"
The bus comes on the stage. BB King has now started his main set,
and he's moved into the mic area, but
Robert Downey's still on the stage, like looking behind him.
And that man is, and if in real life, that man is probably having a mental break. But BB King is so chill about it, and just kind of has this innate sense that like he's gonna move on. And it was right. I mean, that's just so smart. Like, you had men come get him now after all that. Don't do that. Just wait. What's he going to do?
I did note BB King is opening with The Thrill
The
Is
Thrill
Gone.
Is Gone. No, what's he going to close with? I know, Matt.
Okay.
You've got 3 questions.
I went and looked at early 90s BB King sets, and he did not open his shows with this song.
I know.
Well, good. I'm glad you know. Piece of shit.
As soon as he did it, I was like, there's no fucking way.
Charles Grodin, you're gone. I thought that you'd be here the whole movie. Thought this would be you and Robert Downey, but nope.
Nope. Okay, so throughout these antics, Thomas is getting arrested multiple times and brought in to talk to this one police officer who's very funny and charming but over it, and just like, "Oh, you again, motherfucker." And he again
realized I like a trope. I like in a movie like Jingle All the Way, where a guy keeps running into the same cop.
I think it's funny.
Yeah.
If as long as I like the cop here. And this guy keeps giving him a break. Can tell he's having a bad day, but the last straw seems to be when they somehow are in the same parking lot and he backs into him, and his wife and little girl are in the car, and he gets out and he's just like, "What the fuck?" But his wife comes out with the kid and says, "She wants you," and then he starts singing the Hug-a-Bug song. So the thing with Penny is adoption records are sealed. We tried to go solve her shit earlier, and she just got shut down, and so we moved on.
They found the cat lady still lives there. So they asked her and she says, I know where the daughters are, but not the son.
Right. But the cat lady had very valuable information about the adoption of those daughters, that they're in Sacramento and the last name of the couple that adopted them. But so we get a little bit of that. We think we're going to go to Sacramento and then work our way back. But in the meantime, we get arrested again. And she runs into this cop again who's singing a song that she made up, the Hug-a-Bug song. And I love that part. That's probably my favorite one. And the cop is having a hard time believing, obviously, this is crazy. And I think Thomas makes up a wonderful, plausible thing as to how this happened. They were in the same accident, just different parts of it. Ended up in the same emergency room. And before she died, Penny said things that she wanted that mom to pass down to him so that, I mean, it works. If you're an abandoned kid who lost his mom and you're talking about the same accident that killed your mom, I think you can buy a lot.
I guess. I didn't think of it like that.
Great. Well, anyway, he has some stuff that he could not have known. But the lady with the cats, and then the cat lady he's got valuable information. This interaction can help him make his family unit complete again. And that's fulfilling.
He's been unable to find his sisters. He's tried everything except go back to his old house and interview the woman who lived next door.
Anyway, he was passed around from foster home to foster home. Like, he's done amazingly well for himself, considering I'm sure it was a fucking nightmare. This story always breaks my heart, that the girls stayed together and he was separated. He loses his mom and then he gets separated from his fucking siblings. It's disgusting. Like, it makes me want to cry thinking about it. So let's not talk about it. So that gets resolved.
But it's like, this is what I said earlier. Like, this movie's like, it has so many things. It's so many characters it's trying to service, so many plots it's trying to resolve, that sometimes it's like, okay, yes, that plot's resolved now. That's good. We thought we'd have to see the two daughters. No, we don't. This is all we need. Now the bus comes and picks up Penny.
Well, as we see, the afterlife is not perfect. I think they're just taking what they can get at this point. Shut up. What do you want it to be, a 4-hour fucking movie?
Yes, I want 4 hours of this.
So now everything else is worked out. Why not go to the farm where Julia's would-be husband
Presumably
lived?
her thing that's kept her on Earth is, I never told my man that I love him. So let's go find that man. They're going to go find the old predatory lover, and Thomas is going to give him a note in handwriting written by his old lover, Julia. She loves you. Now you don't have to wonder. Now you can, everybody's going to be happy, but he's dead. He died 7 years ago. Meanwhile, the ghost bus came to get him and they're like, no, we're not ready. And so they run away from him. And I like the idea of trying to outrun the ghost bus. And then when they get to their destination, it's just there. And he's like, what? You thought you'd get away with it? And then Julie realizes, oh, that wasn't my mission. My mission was to help you, Thomas, because the universe really wants you to make a serious commitment to a monogamous heterosexual relationship. And then the bus driver, Dave Hamer, is like, oh, I like that. It's tidy.
Yeah.
Or, like, has unity. Something that the screenwriter must have said, like, oh, okay, yes, we can resolve all of this right here. And Julie gets taken away to heaven, and the bus driver says to Thomas, and I'll be back for you in 50 or 60 years.
And I'm doing the math and I'm thinking, that's old.
But he's like, yeah, so now he knows he's invincible. He can do it. I can jump out of planes. I can be Iron Man.
And you became an Iron Man.
And he goes back to Elizabeth Shue and he's like, hey, I love you. She's like, oh, great. I love you too. And kiss.
Here's a bunch of keys.
And here are my keys. Let's go meet a priest and have
I'm glad they don't get married.
church-approved sex.
Okay.
Heaven gets 4 angels, like It's a Wonderful Life, represented by stars in the sky. So, Lacey, what are your final thoughts on Heart and Souls? And a star rating, please.
I completely understand why I watched it so many times. I still enjoyed it. That's not always the case. I love anything singing. I love anything with pop songs from that era. And I like all the heart and soul. And I love Robert Downey Jr. So I'm between a 3 and a 3.5. Because I mean, it's not going to be for everybody. I find it a lot more airtight than you do. I think I might even convinced you of a couple things, but I mean,
I think you did move me a little.
At the end of the day, it's a fine movie.
Yeah.
So 3.
I'll go 3 too.
All
I will go with 3 stars out of 5 as well. I had 2.5 stars. I watched it twice. I didn't budge on my opinion on second watch like I normally do, but I was like, no, 2.5. I don't like this movie. But you convinced me. You made a compelling case, and
Thank you.
you made me realize things that the movie probably didn't realize about these characters.
It's always what you say whenever I make a good case for a bad movie. That my arguments are
smarter
better
than
than
the
the yeah.
Yeah, so that's Heart and Souls.
Wow.
Next week, we are going to be... Well, it's Ghostbusters week. Of course, everyone knows that as Ghostbusters Frozen Empire debuts on screens.
This poster is familiar. I do not know a fucking thing about this. If it sucks, Matt. Ugh.
So here's the movie we're going to be doing next week. It's my movie, and it's 2001's Evolution, directed by Ivan Reitman. A movie that... I don't know if it literally was originally Ghostbusters 3 and then got retooled when they couldn't get Bill Murray, but I watched it back then because I was obsessed with the X-Files, and I was like, I need anything else that David Duchovny's in. And like, I don't know how much I liked it, but I sure did watch it a lot.
So do you think it's actually a movie that did the thing that you complain about with Godfather 3? Like, if they had named it Ghostbusters : something, it would have been a flop, but because they knew enough to say, this is too different from the franchise, let's just call it this. They actually gave it a name that made it palatable.
Yeah, well, it's also not ghosts. It's like slime aliens.
But do you
or
see what I'm
something.
saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, if some movies suffer from the heavy crown of the franchise.
Like Exorcist 3, if it were not called Exorcist 3 and was just killer murder,
Exactly.
it'd be much better. But it also has to be like, but also the possession. Yes.
Okay.
Maybe. Hey, that's what we're doing next week. Episode 108, goddamn, is what we're going to be
Where's the
doing.
time go?
Um,
Oh, I hate to add another fucking icon to the screen, but it looks like we're going to need to.
well, first of
We'll
all,
see.
for the audio listeners, we would love if you reviewed us on iTunes
Please!
or Spotify.
It's helpful, guys. Just go do it right now. Pull over your car and just give us a review. You don't even have to say anything. Just the 5 stars helps. Just
Stop
fucking
fingering the person who's riding
Stop.
beside
I'm
you.
being serious. I don't think people understand. Like, that's the way that things happen for little old people like us. Go on.
If you're listening to the podcast, want to direct you to our YouTube channel where you can watch the podcast. And if you're watching the podcast, you can listen to the podcast. Either way, you can do that.
Podcast.
Load Bearing Beams Pod is where you can find us on YouTube. On Letterboxd, I'm on Letterboxd. Matt Stokes 9. Lacey's on Letterboxd.
Letterbox like, fuck me, load bearing Lacey.
And I have a band that put out an album. The band is Roll Out 9. We do the music for Load Bearing Beams. You can find our album on Spotify, iTunes, Bandcamp, Google Music, Amazon Music, that kind of stuff. I forgot to say that the show, you can follow the show on Twitter at Load Bearing Pod. You can follow me on Twitter at Matt Stokes 9. TikToks, we're at load.bearing.beams. Instagram, Load Bearing Beams.
Clapper, load.bearing.beams.
Great.
Because
you
TikTok might die.
can, you can tell me what Clapper is.
It is TikTok. Light.
Okay.
Just in case. It's a baby account. I only have 47 followers, but just you wait.
We're just toddling around in a walker going, hug
It
a
also-
bug, hug a bug.
It also does not like all the videos I'm uploading with the TikTok logo on it. It's like, I can tell that this is not original content. We encourage you to do the original. Bitch, I'm going to make the same video twice. No, bitch. I will not, bitch.
You would prefer original content.
I'm sure you would. Then why don't you be TikTok instead of Clapper? Okay. But it still allows it. Like a little bitch. As I said before.
So what else is going on?
What are you talking about? That's it. That's all I got.
Nothing else?
What are you... What right
this
now
is
we're
the
gonna...
portion of the podcast where we... No, I don't know.
You're right. Let's
I
talk
was gonna
about
change
tonight.
things.
All right. Love you. Bye.
Bye.
No!
Three, four. Everybody, love me.